that's ridiculous, man. I would just let go of that belt. No, it's disgusting. I mean, I told my son to be a real man.
It's not a good look. It doesn't look well. I mean, it's a turnoff. It gets everybody like kind of in a sense, turns everybody.
I had heard is that this drug is not detectable in blood, that it's a drug that's detectable in urine.
And they have to in a new test, right? The test
is it a new test?
From what I heard too is the USADA is.
You go court taking drugs, hear your charge. It's like fucking murder. If you fucking murder someone.
Teofimo Lopez Sr. detonates on Shakur Stevenson, turning whispers into weapons after the failed drug test revelations explode into public view, and he doesn't blink while doing it. With cameras rolling and no filter in sight, Lopez Sr. publicly rips into Shakur, stripping away the praise and replacing it with doubt, suspicion, and outright humiliation ahead of their looming clash. He drags the steroid allegations into the spotlight, demanding to know why the boxing world keeps crowning Shakur spotless while failed tests hang over his name like a loaded threat. This isn't playful trash talk or routine promotion, it's a calculated execution meant to rattle nerves and expose cracks. Every word lands like a punch, warning that Shakur's credibility is bleeding out in real time and his carefully built reputation could collapse before the opening bell ever rings.
They like this kid a lot, man. You know, no matter what they saying or whatever it is, he has steroids.
Teofimo Lopez fires back at Shakur Stevenson with no hesitation, flipping the narrative and turning the spotlight harsh and unforgiving. He doesn't soften a single word, blasting Shakur over the failed drug tests and calling the entire situation a massive turnoff that stains credibility and rattles the trust of fans who once believed without question. Lopez makes it clear this isn't surface-level trash talk or fight-week noise, it's a deeper exposure meant to leave marks. He frames the controversy as bigger than punches and paydays, a direct attack on Shakur's reputation and the image carefully sold to the boxing world. Every sentence carries intent, reminding everyone watching that actions echo loudly, consequences follow relentlessly, and no amount of talent can silence suspicion once doubt takes hold.
Jobbed. When I got jobbed, I didn't do it. I just got back, took care of my hold, and we came back and conquered. That's all you got to do. That's how you earn your respect and how you stay in the people's.
Derek Chisora unloads on drug cheats in boxing with zero hesitation, turning frustration into a hardline warning that echoes across the sport. He makes it brutally clear that anyone caught using drugs should be erased from competition with a ruthless 10-year ban, no debates, no sympathy. Chisora questions how athletes can still be allowed to compete after cheating, ripping into a broken system that keeps letting offenders slip through untouched. His words aren't random, they are deliberate, a sharp message aimed straight at Shakur Stevenson and anyone even thinking about shortcuts. Boxing, he insists, cannot survive with stained integrity, fake advantages, or selective punishment, and sooner or later the sport will demand a price. Eddie Hearn injects urgency into an already volatile situation, emphasizing the deep uncertainty swirling around Shakur Stevenson's failed drug tests as the clock keeps ticking. He points out that the British Boxing Board of Control has yet to make a move, leaving the case suspended in limbo while the legal process continues to twist and stretch with no clear end in sight. Hearn's cautious but visibly tense tone makes one thing unmistakable: the final decision could dramatically reshape Shakur's career, derail the fight entirely, and alter the landscape before a single punch is thrown.
At the moment, the British Boxing Board of Control aren't. So we have to speak with them, deal with the legal situation and see where it lands. And this is quite fresh. Obviously, I don't even think it's 30 minutes. I think it's more like 10 or 15 minutes since that. And, we'll see what role.
Eddie Hearn unloads with fury, ripping into Jermaine Franklin for what he calls the sheer audacity of claiming innocence after failing a drug test, refusing to let excuses breathe. He labels the situation sabotage wrapped in arrogance, a glaring system failure that exposes irresponsibility and stains the sport in full view of the public. Hearn's anger isn't reckless, it's deliberate, aimed at dragging hypocrisy into the light and forcing accountability where it's been avoided. His words fire off a wider warning shot, one meant to reach Shakur Stevenson and every fighter watching closely from the shadows. Cheating, he makes clear, won't be brushed aside, credibility isn't guaranteed, and the price for crossing that line is steep, unforgiving, and permanent. The boxing world isn't blinking, it's locked in, watching every move as reputations hang by a thread.
Do you know what is the absolute liberty about all of this? Is the way that he, after he failed that test on Monday, texts me, texts you, to say, I swear I've not taken anything. This is sabotage. This is just a system against me. Fuck off. It's an absolute, you know what, it makes me sick. Sick.
Gervonta Davis doesn't sugarcoat a single thing, unloading with raw disgust as he labels fighters who test positive yet are still allowed to compete as snakes, dangerous, and untrustworthy. His blunt condemnation slices straight through the noise, exposing the hypocrisy rotting inside boxing where cheaters are given passes while honest fighters absorb the risk. Davis makes it clear this isn't just about failed tests on paper, it's about real danger in the ring and unfair advantages that can end careers in seconds. Every word carries warning sirens, calling out a system that looks the other way while integrity is compromised. His message lands heavy and unmistakable. Boxing cannot survive selective justice, fake clean slates, or protected offenders, and sooner or later the sport will be forced to choose between convenience and credibility.
And we're still gonna let him fight. Still was gonna let him fight.
Dillian White fought after he tested.
Who?
Dillian White.
Dillian White, after testing positive, see, I didn't even know that. Bro, he's a snake, bro.
Liam Goff breaks down the unsettling reality behind drug testing, pulling back the curtain on how even the smallest trace can linger and resurface depending on whether the test is saliva, urine, or hair. He explains that science leaves no hiding place, no margin for careless mistakes, and no comfort in technicalities. His analysis carries a quiet warning beneath the details, aimed squarely at fighters like Shakur Stevenson, that even minor infractions can be detected long after the fact. What seems insignificant can snowball into serious consequences, and when overlooked details resurface, careers can shift, fights can vanish, and reputations can unravel without warning.
Chuck it out there. If depending on the amount, that will depend on how long it remains in your system. So, from what I can gather, if you've taken very limited amounts, very little amounts, it could stay in your system. Depending on the nature of the test, if it was a saliva test, if it was a urine test, if it was a hair test, it's going to stay in your system a lot longer. But
Johnny Nelson tears into Shakur with disbelief and frustration, openly calling him out for taking banned substances and questioning how anyone at that level could gamble so recklessly. Nelson admits he can't wrap his head around the decision, asking why a fighter would knowingly take something that can linger in the system for weeks and leave a paper trail impossible to escape. He slams the move as careless and dangerous, warning that choices like this don't just damage one career, they threaten the integrity of the entire sport. Nelson makes it clear this goes far beyond a simple error in judgment, framing it as a devastating hit to credibility, professionalism, and trust. When fighters play roulette with banned substances, the stakes skyrocket, consequences multiply, and reputations collapse faster than any punch ever could, and the fallout never stays contained.
No one stays for 2 weeks. I don't know, why would you take it knowing there's a possibility that it's going to be in your system? And why would you take it for our sport anyway?
Adam Catterall reacts sharply to Shakur's failed drug test, calling it not only shocking but deeply disappointing in a way that cuts through the boxing world. He stresses that any fighter caught using performance-enhancing drugs doesn't just damage themselves, they stain the sport's reputation and betray fans and opponents who believe in fair competition. Catterall's words carry weight, underlining how seriously these violations are taken and reinforcing that boxing demands accountability at every level when trust is broken.
When any fighter fails a performance-enhancing drug test, it is incredibly shocking and disappointing.
Spencer Oliver was left stunned and almost speechless after learning Shakur tested positive for recreational drugs like cocaine, a revelation that sent shockwaves through his analysis. He highlighted the sheer absurdity of risking everything, career, legacy, and safety, by stepping anywhere near a fight with such a dangerous substance in your system. Oliver couldn't hide his disbelief, questioning how any fighter could justify gambling so recklessly in a sport where one mistake can have permanent consequences. He demanded answers, stressing how foolish it is to jeopardize not only your own future but also the lives and well-being of opponents inside the ring. In a high-stakes arena where margins are razor-thin and danger is constant, Oliver made it clear that choices like this cross a line, exposing recklessness that boxing cannot afford to ignore.
By what it is, recreational drugs, cocaine, you just go, how has that got in your system? It's got some explaining to do for one, and you think with what you had on the line, and with what you was, what was coming up for you, and the opponent you had in front of you, you just go like cocaine in your system.
It's just. Adam Smith openly admitted his surprise, stressing the thick cloud of uncertainty hanging over Shakur's failed test as official silence continues to fuel tension. He pointed out that with no clear statements released, the vacuum is instantly filled by social media, where rumors spread faster than facts and speculation mutates by the minute. Smith highlighted how confusion now dominates the narrative, turning every pause, every whisper, and every leaked detail into something magnified and dangerous. In this atmosphere, anticipation doesn't calm nerves, it sharpens them, and credibility starts to feel fragile. With the fight looming, Smith made it clear that every unanswered question now carries weight, because in boxing, perception can shift outcomes long before the bell ever rings.
And I'll wait and see what happens. I mean, I don't know the findings. We don't know. I haven't seen statements really. I don't know. It's come out in the social media.
Carl Frampton didn't sugarcoat a single word, tearing into high-profile fighters' court using performance-enhancing drugs and branding the reality as simply horrible. He made it painfully clear that boxing isn't a game. It's a lethal business where one wrong move, one unfair edge, can cost someone their life. Frampton pushed the line further, arguing that anyone found with banned substances should face a lifetime ban, no loopholes, no forgiveness, no second chances. His stance is harsh, unapologetic, and deliberate, because the danger is real and the consequences are permanent. In a sport where strength, skill, discipline, and safety must exist together, cheating fractures everything at once. By speaking out so forcefully, Frampton exposes the moral and physical responsibility every fighter carries when they step into the ring. These violations don't just derail careers, they put opponents, officials, and the sport itself at risk. His message lands as a cold warning to anyone tempted by shortcuts. Boxing will not protect those who gamble with lives for advantage.
I didn't do that when I got jobbed. When I got jobbed, I didn't do that. I just got back, took care of my health, and we came back and conquered. That's all you gotta do. That's how you earn your respect and how you stay in the people's eye.
Tony Bellew painted a chilling picture of the situation, describing it as frightening for boxing and stressing that this goes far beyond a bad headline or temporary embarrassment. He warned that failed drug tests strike at the heart of the sport's integrity, transforming what should be a disciplined, skill-driven contest into something closer to a chaotic circus. Bellew's language was deliberate and sharp, underscoring just how dangerous and out of control things can become when rules are ignored and standards are bent. He expanded the concern beyond one fighter, highlighting the wider implications for safety, fairness, and public trust, while openly calling out a system that too often fails to enforce its own principles. In his view, this isn't isolated damage, it's structural. Doping scandals don't bruise one reputation, they rattle the foundations of boxing itself. By framing the controversy as a circus, Bellew sends a stark warning to fans, fighters, and officials alike that accountability is non-negotiable, standards must be restored, and the sport has to clean itself up fast or risk bleeding credibility beyond repair.
It's not that it's bad, it's frightening. But listen, this isn't boxing as a sport, this is the circus.
Adiola weighed in as the shockwaves from Shakur's failed drug test continued to ripple through boxing, cautiously floating the possibility that the substance could have entered his system through other, unintended means. Even as he admitted how unlikely that explanation sounds, he urged restraint, arguing that Shakur deserves the benefit of the doubt until every angle is examined. Still, Oladipo couldn't disguise his disbelief, repeatedly calling the situation wild as he tried to process the implications. He stressed how rare, confusing, and unprecedented a pre-fight controversy like this is at such an elite level, where margins are tight and scrutiny is unforgiving. By breaking down potential explanations while never minimizing the seriousness of a banned substance appearing in a fighter's system, Oladipo highlighted the razor-thin line between accidental ingestion and outright cheating. His analysis made one thing clear: this scandal has rattled the boxing world, shattered assumptions, and placed Shakur's reputation under a microscope, with consequences looming that could redefine how he is viewed long after the headlines fade.
I've watched Deontay Wilder's. I've been ringside for 2 of Deontay Wilder's last 3 fights. I watched the last fight. He's not in his prime. I mean, he is...
Duke McKenzie reacted with open disbelief to the findings surrounding Shakur's failed drug tests, struggling to comprehend how both the A and B samples could return positive for a banned substance without raising massive red flags. He framed the results as baffling and deeply alarming, questioning the sheer improbability of consecutive samples confirming the same outcome and what that signals for the sport. Mackenzie made it clear this isn't a harmless slip or a technical oversight, but a serious breach of the rules that boxing relies on to protect integrity and safety. He dug into the weight of failing back-to-back samples, stressing that once confirmation is doubled, doubt hardens into consequence. The implications, he warned, stretch far beyond one fight, casting a long, unforgiving shadow over Shakur's career and legitimacy in the eyes of fans and peers. By dissecting the shocking nature of the case and hammering home the need for accountability, Mackenzie painted a tense picture of a scandal spiraling outward, one that doesn't just threaten a single fighter's future, but risks eroding trust in the very foundations of boxing itself.
How can he give a sample and then a B sample, and they both come back positive for a banned substance? It doesn't make any sense.
Gareth A. Davies stepped into the unfolding storm surrounding Shakur only recently, admitting he had relied on his colleague Jeremy Wilson, the Telegraph's doping specialist, to track the details as they quietly escalated. Once involved, Davies revealed a startling detail that instantly set off alarms. Shakur had reportedly been taking around 14 different supplements, a staggering figure that changes the tone of the entire situation. That number alone, he suggested, exposes how easily fighters can wander into dangerous territory within complex anti-doping regulations, where overlapping substances and hidden ingredients can collide without warning. Davies' breakdown doesn't soften the reality, it magnifies it, showing how repeated supplementation, even without obvious intent, can snowball into a full-blown controversy. His insight underlines the sheer scale of the issue and why transparency, education, and strict regulation are no longer optional in modern boxing. What begins as routine preparation can spiral fast, dragging careers into uncertainty and casting long shadows over legitimacy in the ring. In Davies' telling, this isn't just a technical problem, it's a cautionary tale about how quickly control can be lost, how suspicion takes root, and how a fighter's reputation can be pushed to the brink before anyone realizes the damage is already done.